Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of TFB TV. I'm glad all of you that watched our previous episode with the interview with Greg Dillon last week, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making it. My friend Bresh had a lot of fun making it. And I just wanted to thank the NFC and the guys over in the UK for really helping put that together. It wouldn't have been possible. But most of all, I want to thank Colonel Dillon himself. That was really an amazing opportunity to actually sit down and interview him. Which today we're going to interview him some more. So after the interview about the AK that he picked up, I was interested in learning more about some of the arms of the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong and what they used against U.S. forces in the Vietnam War. This is going to be followed by another interview next week that is going to be about what we used against them. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate the viewership, and I'd also like to thank ProxyBid and Ventura Munitions. They really help us out with these kinds of videos, and they help us produce the kinds of videos that we want to continue to bring to you. Some hard-hitting content and some just fun stuff anyway. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Their mortars were 82s.
They could use our mortars.
That's right.
They're 81s.
Yeah, so
right?
we got to be careful about letting them get a hold of our mortar rounds. They just threw them back on us.
Mm-hmm.
Claymores, real bad about sneaking up on them and turning them around.
They would do that.
They would do that. But so most of the time when we had claymores out, we had somebody with a starlight watching.
Yeah.
And it makes an interesting impact as he reaches for the thing you detonated. It ruins their whole day. And,
this is why I love Vietnam vets.
And the claymores pretty effective. And then, of course, the troops are ingenious.
Mm-hmm.
They say, well, we can come up with something more deadly than a thing. You take a great big bale of barbed wire and you put it in front of a 40 pound shape charge.
Yeah.
And wire that up and watch. And then when you blow that shape charge into that thing of barbed wire, it goes out for
all the barbs.
For 100 yards or so.
Yeah.
It's
so all the barbs would
ingenious, be do that.
Wow.
AKs are good weapons. They're not accurate, but they don't require a lot of maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to fire away in the mud and the rain and whatever, but they're not as accurate.
What weapon do you think American troops feared most? What conventional weapon do you think American troops feared most? And what conventional weapon do you think the North Vietnamese troops feared the most? From the other side.
I think small arms. People don't want to be shot by small arms. It's sort of the indirect fire is. It doesn't have your name on it like a bullet does.
Yeah.
You may get hit by one, but you're not necessarily the target.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bad guys hated the B-52 strikes.
Yeah, the bombers.
Because you couldn't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, everything would just go up in an explosion.
Yeah.
And when they would interview prisoners, the prisoners would talk about the B-52 strikes. But, you can't get very much useful information out of young soldiers that you capture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't know. Where's the regimental headquarters? They don't know where the regimental... They're lucky they know where the platoon headquarters is.
Yeah.
And some of the people we had interrogating these guys, they weren't going after the stuff that was usable by the guy on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I had one case where I brought back four guys that had been picked up out near the Bobo Canal, which is near the Plain of Reeds and in that area. And anyway, one of the points that they come across. Anyway, they were asking them about the B-52 strikes on the trail. I said, who cares about that? I don't. What I want to know is how many people were in your group? Mm-hmm. Ask them, So the interpreter said, 20. Did you know any of them? My brother or my cousin. Yeah, but there were 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. See that guy over there? Yes. Was he in your group? No. Now you know we got 40 guys out there.
Yeah.
2 groups. Don't worry about that guy over there. Neither one of them knew him. Now we got 60. I can call the battalion commander and say, you got at least 60 guys out there hiding in the plain of reeds, you know, trying to get through.
It's actionable.
That's the kind of information the commander on the ground needs. He doesn't need to know
the B-52
Osama
strikes.
bin Laden was here 6 months ago.
That doesn't help very much.
No. Sniper rifles.
Yeah. So
Okay.
both our sides and
I didn't see that many on their side.
but there were
But they
designated
used
riflemen.
SKS.
Okay.
They would tie guys in trees, and they would have SKS, and they would look for who?
Officers, staff NCOs,
for-
radio operators.
Radio operators first, I think,
Okay.
then officers. Because if you knock out the communications, then, you know. They had a heavy machine gun that was very effective.
The Dushka, the 51 caliber.
Yeah, and they had some anti-aircraft ones. I never saw how effective they were against aircraft, but they would use them in a ground roll.
Against American troops.
Yeah, try to. I imagine they used anything they could get their hands on.
Yeah.
You know, if there were troops involved.
What about light machine guns, such as RPKs, RPDs? I know the North Vietnamese used BARs and 1919s that were captured from.
Well, BAR was always a great weapon.
Mhm.
So I'm sure their problem would have been getting ammunition.
The
for it.
logistics of it.
Yeah.
What was the average engagement range with the small arms on small arms threats? Within, it would depend on terrain, or what were
terrain more than you can. You know, in the heavy brush, you're talking about 20 yards, 25 yards. That, I mean, you just don't get that. Down in the Delta area where it was so open, you could shoot it. You could shoot at guys 100, 200 yards away. You might not hit them. You know, they had machine guns, but they didn't have that many. You know, if you're getting attacked by 50 guys and 49 of them have AKs, you know, you're not so much worried about that.
Yeah.
One machine gun. But they didn't have artillery. They had RPGs, and they would use them sometimes like artillery. You know, they were firing those in the middle of the LZ. And a lot of people say, "Oh, they've got mortars." I don't think they had the mortars. I think they were firing RPGs.
Arching them as well.
Yeah, just arching them up and letting them fall in the, you know.
Interesting.
You know, like, yeah, we didn't have to face there. You know, like at the end and two, they dug holes through the mountains and brought in the big heavy artillery, and they just pounded the poor French to death.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't have to worry about that.
Okay.
We had a distinct advantage in firepower and logistics, but I really don't think our soldiers were much better than the frontline NVA as individual.
Okay.
I mean, these guys would charge across fields that were being hit with COFRAM. You know what COFRAM is?
No.
Artillery round goes off and fires pellets all over the place.
Okay.
I mean, you look out there and all she'd see was just coming down like, and these guys would still come.
Yeah.
Just coming on.
Really?
They had a lot of guts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, sir, I think.
All right, you want to wind it up?
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
well, thank you for coming by.
absolutely, sir. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
that's
for
right.
conducting this with us. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Well, if you ever have